Welcome to the fire, to the blood of the truth, to the war behind the smile. If you made it here, if you clicked, if you stayed this long, it means you're not afraid to bleed, not afraid to watch the illusions burn, not afraid to walk alone through the dark without asking anyone for directions. This is for the ones who stopped playing pretty, for the ones who snapped the mask in half and threw it in the dirt, for the ones who stopped begging to be seen and chose instead to become something no one could ignore. You were not born to blend. You were not crafted for the corner. You were born to walk in like thunder and leave echoes behind long after your footsteps fade. This is not for the fragile. This is not for the weak-spirited. This is for those who have buried pieces of themselves to protect the world from their full force. It's time. It's your time. You ripped the truth out and slammed it on the table. And they didn't see it coming, did they? No. They expected you to keep smiling. They thought you'd keep playing dumb, keep pretending you didn't know the game they were playing behind closed doors. But you watched, quietly, patiently, and while they underestimated you, you let them dig their own grave, inch by inch, lie by lie, smile by smile. And when the moment came, when the weight of their own deception snapped the final thread, you didn't scream, you didn't beg, you delivered, cold, calculated, truth like a blade, truth like fire, truth like revenge, with no need for violence, just presence, just silence, just the unstoppable force of a soul that woke up. And if you're here, then maybe you're one of us. If these words echo in your chest, if they set something inside you ablaze, subscribe, because we're building something that doesn't bow to fear. Smash the like, not for vanity, but to let the algorithm know this darkness speaks to you. You're not soft. You're not fake. You were born for this pain, this betrayal, this transformation. It's not the end. It's the ignition. They never expected you to become the storm. They saw your patience as weakness, your silence as consent. But in reality, you were studying them, mapping every move, memorizing every false word, every snake-tongued whisper, every time they smiled at you with poison behind their teeth. And you just kept standing, bleeding inside, but standing. And now, they're choking on the truth you served them. Because when you ripped it out and slammed it down, you did it with no apology. You did it with calm fury, the kind of power that doesn't need to shout. Because when you're that real, when you're that done, when you're that evolved, you don't need to argue. You become the final chapter of a story they thought they'd keep rewriting. But you ended it with a period and a stare and a truth that echoed so loud it shook the walls they built with lies. Let them talk now. Let them rewrite the narrative in their heads. Let them pretend they were the victim. Let them whine about how you changed, how you switched up, how you turned cold. Because they'll never admit the truth, that they broke the very thing that held back the darkness they now fear. You didn't turn cold. You turned truthful. You stopped being their comfort zone. You stopped dimming your light so they could shine in your reflection. Now they stand in front of a mirror, cracked by their own manipulation. And for the first time, they see themselves, and they hate it. But that's not your problem anymore. You were the last warning, the final grace, the one shot at redemption, and they wasted it. So now you stand not as a victim, but as the consequence. You watch them dig that grave, not because you're heartless, but because you were done rescuing people from their own karma. You let them go, not out of hate, but out of self-respect. You're not here to save people from themselves anymore. You're here to build your kingdom from the ashes of every bridge they burned. And it's not revenge you seek, it's freedom. And freedom doesn't scream, it simply walks away, unapologetically, with truth as its armor and silence as its sword. They called you cruel, they called you heartless, but the truth is, you were always too much for their small games. And now they're realizing, too late, that they lost someone who would have walked through fire for them. But now they can burn alone. Some people only love you when you stay broken, when you're manageable, predictable, easy to deceive. But once you start loving yourself enough to say, no more, once you start speaking truth without sugar, you become a threat. You become the villain in their story. And guess what? Let them write that version. Let them tell their friends how cold you became. You're not here to explain your evolution to people still crawling through their own delusions. You're here to break patterns, to cut cords, to leave legacies. So stop mourning what you lost and start honoring who you became. Because this is not destruction. This is rebirth. A violent, glorious, unapologetic return to the version of you that never needed to ask permission to exist. They laughed when you were quiet. They mocked your kindness. They twisted your loyalty into chains. But they forgot. You were watching. And when the moment came, when the knife was still in your back and the blood was still warm, you didn't cry. You didn't plead. You turned, slowly, like something ancient, something unstoppable, something they should have never awoken. And what did you do? You ripped the truth out and slammed it on the table, with their name carved into it, with their lies crumbling beside it, and all they could do was stare. Because when real shows up, fake dies, every single time. So no, you're not too much. You're just not for cowards. You're not broken. You're just done being used. You're not cold. You're focused. You're not bitter. You're aware. And the people who once danced in your softness are now choking on the steel you became. That's not your guilt to carry. That's their karma to swallow. You didn't change. You remembered who you are. And now, you're not asking. You're not explaining. You're not softening your edges for people who never once dulled their knives for you. You are the reckoning, the consequence, the storm they summoned but couldn't control. They underestimated you, over and over, thought they had you figured out. But see, they never met this version of you, the one who isn't afraid to lose people who were never real, the one who doesn't flinch when peace means walking away from everything, the one who would rather stand alone in truth than die surrounded by liars. This version burns cities to rebuild kingdoms. This version stops answering calls from ghosts who had their chance. This version doesn't just know the truth. This version is the truth. And now you walk different, talk different. Your silence is loud. Your stare is unsettling. Because now you don't flinch. You don't beg. You don't chase. You let people show who they are. And when they do, you don't unsee it. You let them dig. Let them lie. Let them run their mouth. And then, with all the calm of a God who's seen it all, you slam the truth down like Judgment Day. And in that moment, there's no arguing with you, no debate, no excuses. Just the weight of everything they pretended wasn't real. And that is your power now. You're not reactive. You're strategic. You don't need revenge. You are the aftermath. You don't need to prove them wrong. You let time do that. Because truth has one rule: it always shows up. And you are no longer in the business of hiding it. You let it speak. Loud, bold, brutal. And when it does, those who danced in the dark behind your back, they feel it in their bones. So stand up, stand tall, stand alone if you have to. You didn't come this far just to play small. You didn't walk through hell to ask people to like you. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to be the wildfire they never expected, the one who loved deep and cut deeper when betrayal came knocking, the one who smiled while being torn apart and still came out unshaken, the one who stopped explaining and started building, brick by brick, scar by scar, truth by brutal truth. You are not fragile. You are not lost. You are exactly what this world fears. Someone who knows who they are and refuses to apologize for it. And now that you've ripped the truth out and slammed it on the table, don't you dare pick it back up. Leave it there. Let them stare at it. Let them tremble in the silence that follows. That silence, it's not emptiness. It's the sound of power. It's the sound of clarity. The sound of an era ending and a new one beginning. One where you no longer tolerate half-truths, emotional parasites, or pretty lies wrapped in convenience. That truth cost you something. Every scar on your soul, every tear you didn't let fall, every sleepless night where you questioned if you were the crazy one, it built you. So leave that truth on the table like a warning sign, a battle flag, a sacred offering to the part of you that finally said, no more. Let the people who tried to manipulate you sit in their discomfort. Let them squirm in the face of their own reflection. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them softness. You gave them chances, and they fed them to the fire. So now you walk away, not bitter, but clean. Not angry, but reborn. Not shattered, but sharpened. You are not what they did to you. You are what you chose to become after they failed you. And that, right there, is what makes you unstoppable. You don't break. You transform. You don't seek revenge. You evolve. And you don't just survive. You rise. They don't know how long you stayed quiet, how many times you swallowed the truth just to keep the peace. But now you're done choking on your own awareness. Now you speak, with your eyes, with your silence, with your existence. Now you move different, and your movement isn't noise, it's impact. Every step forward is a funeral for the versions of you that once begged to be chosen. You are not that anymore. You are choice itself. You are the standard, the line in the sand, the fire that no longer asks for permission to burn. Let them call you names. Let them paint you as the villain. Let them tell their version to anyone who'll listen, because the ones who see clearly, the ones who understand what it means to walk through betrayal and come out godlike, they'll know. They'll feel you in every syllable of this speech. They'll recognize themselves in your rage, in your resilience, in your refusal to play savior to people who worship their own destruction. Because you don't save people who set fire to your wings. You watch them fall, and you don't flinch. You've learned now, haven't you? You've learned that not everyone who smiles at you wants you to win. You've learned that some hands shake yours while holding the dagger behind their back. But now you see them, all of them, and you don't even need to confront them anymore. You just outgrow them. You walk past them like they never existed. Because when you know your worth, you stop entertaining anything that costs your peace. And when you carry truth like a weapon, you don't need to fight. You just exist. And they collapse. And here's what they fear the most. You're not broken by what happened. You're not crushed under the weight of betrayal. No, you're stronger, colder, quieter, and more dangerous than ever. Because now, your kindness has teeth. Now your love has boundaries. Now your loyalty has terms. And you don't throw pearls to pigs. You don't waste your light on those who treat it like a flashlight to find their way back only when they're lost again. This world doesn't need another watered-down version of you. It doesn't need another obedient soul, nodding and smiling while dying inside. It needs this you, the raw, untamed, unapologetic force that knows too much to ever be fooled again. You are your own reckoning, your own protection, your own power. And the day you stopped waiting for someone to see you was the day the universe bowed and whispered, finally, they're watching now. The same ones who tried to control you, who laughed when you were vulnerable, who mocked you for caring. Now they're watching from the shadows, realizing that they lost access to something they'll never find again. You didn't just walk away. You leveled up so far that their existence doesn't even register anymore. And that is the kind of revenge no lie can compete with. Because here's the truth, they'll never admit. They wanted you weak. They wanted you doubting yourself. They wanted you dependent on their approval, scared to lose them, terrified to be alone. But what they didn't realize was that the moment you embraced solitude, the moment you faced yourself in the mirror and said, I am enough, you became untouchable. You became a force no manipulation could seduce again. You became the embodiment of a truth so raw, so heavy, so real, it couldn't be silenced. And now, everything changes. Now, you walk like a ghost of the past they'll never escape. Now, your presence is the reminder of what they lost, not because you died, but because you woke up. And once you wake up, once you stop pretending, stop performing, stop trying to be enough for people who never even knew what enough looked like, you become dangerous. Not because you hurt people, but because you can't be hurt by them anymore. This isn't about hate. This isn't about revenge. This is about truth. The kind that burns away everything fake, everything toxic, everything temporary, and the kind that builds empires from broken bones and buried dreams. You've tasted that truth. And now, no lie can satisfy you. No shallow love can tempt you. No half friendship can survive around you. Because you're not just surviving anymore. You're dominating. Quietly, fiercely, without needing applause, without needing recognition. Just showing up every day as the version of yourself no one saw coming. You let them dig their own grave, and now they lay in it, not because you pushed them in, but because you stepped back and watched them fall into the pit they swore wasn't real. And now you're building, with precision, with rage turned into fuel, with silence turned into clarity, with every betrayal turned into a brick, a fortress around your soul. And they're outside the gates now, screaming your name like you owe them entry. But you don't even turn your head, because you're done saving people who had the chance to grow and chose destruction instead. So stand in it, all of it, the pain, the strength, the scars, the rebirth. Own it, speak it, wear it like armor. Let your truth be the wildfire they never saw coming. And when they ask what happened to the version of you that used to be nice, smile. Just smile and say, I buried them right beside your lies. And then keep walking, unbothered, unapologetic, unstoppable. Because once you rip the truth out and slam it on the table, you don't go back to pretending. You don't shrink back into that soft shell, the one they were comfortable walking over. You don't return to being digestible just because your full form makes them choke. Number. That moment, that choice to lay it all down raw, ugly, undeniable, was the final transformation. There's no unseeing, no undoing. You saw them, all of them, and more importantly, you finally saw yourself. Not the version they manipulated, not the version that begged, the real you, the one that was always underneath, waiting for the silence to crack open. And now the silence is broken. Now you speak, not with your voice, but with your movement, with your absence, with your standards. And your absence? It screams louder than any argument. It echoes. It shakes their world in ways your presence never could. Because they took it for granted. They drank from your cup like it was endless. But now the well has run dry, not out of spite, but out of awakening. You've outgrown them, and they know it. That's why they'll act confused, why they'll spin stories, why they'll call you cold, a traitor, a monster. But deep down, they know. They know exactly what they did to deserve your silence, your withdrawal, your thunderous goodbye. They watched you suffer and smiled. They watched you doubt yourself and fed the fire. They watched you bleed emotionally and called it drama. But now the mirror is facing them. Now the weight of their actions is back in their lap, and it's crushing them. Not because you curse them, but because you simply stopped catching the bricks they kept throwing. You let them feel what you felt. You let the karma unfold naturally, not by force, not with revenge, just with truth. And that's what they fear most, the truth. Because it strips them bare. It exposes every mask, every false tear, every time they weaponized your empathy. You were their shield, their comfort, their emotional punching bag. And the day you walked away, the day you ripped the truth out and laid it bare, they felt the ground shift beneath them. Because now they don't have you to blame. And without a scapegoat, without your forgiveness to bandage their wounds, they're bleeding in their own guilt. Let them. Let them drown in the storm they created. Let them remember you, not as someone weak, not as someone they broke, but as the reckoning that came dressed as love. Let your legacy be the silence that followed their last betrayal. Let your name be the one they whisper when no one else is around. Because they know. They all know. You were the real one, the anchor, the heart, the soul that loved them deeper than they ever deserved. And they blew it. They burned the bridge, and now they watch you build kingdoms on the ashes. Because now, you don't just survive, you lead. You lead with presence, with depth, with unshakable standards. And the ones who come now, they'll either meet you at your level or fall away. There is no in between. You've buried the old version of you in a grave of lessons, and the new you doesn't entertain beggars with ego problems. You're done with the half-truths, the manipulations, the empty apologies. You're done with people who confuse proximity with loyalty, love with possession, respect with silence. You've learned, and what you've learned has changed you forever. You've learned that being the bigger person doesn't mean staying silent while people destroy you. It means cutting the rope and letting them fall. You've learned that some people only come close to feed, not to grow. That some people only understand kindness as weakness, and that your greatest act of self-respect isn't in forgiving everything. It's in walking away and never looking back. That's power. That's peace. That's presence. You've realized now that truth is the most powerful currency on this planet. And when you carry it without fear, you become immune to manipulation, immune to lies, immune to the guilt trips and gaslighting and crocodile tears. Because truth doesn't need permission. It doesn't need validation. It just is. And now, so are you. And to those still watching, still lurking, still hoping the old version of you will come back and save them from the fire they started, you're already gone. You're already walking in a different dimension, a higher frequency, one they can't reach without facing themselves. And most won't, because facing you means facing what they did to you. And that's a mirror too heavy for cowards. Let them sit in it. Let them wear the silence like a shroud, because this version of you doesn't break, doesn't bend, doesn't apologize for being too real in a world built on lies. You are not bitter. You are truth-telling. You are not cold. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a point in every human being's life when they realize they've been deceived or misled by someone they once trusted. It doesn't matter if the betrayal comes from a friend, a partner, or even a family member. What matters is that in this cold and ruthless world, someone tried to wear a mask to hide their true self. They thought they could play with you, use you, manipulate you without ever facing the consequences. But something changed. You saw through their fake persona. You exposed them for who they really are, and now they're falling apart. It's not a matter of justice or revenge. It's about something far deeper. It's about revealing the ugly truth that they've worked so hard to conceal. It's about showing the world what they are made of and watching them crumble under the weight of their own lies. The truth has a strange way of manifesting itself when it is least expected. And when you expose the fake persona of someone who has long tried to deceive the world, it sends a shockwave through every single aspect of their existence. They no longer have the comfort of their lies to hide behind. They no longer have the power to control the narrative. And now, they're falling apart. The cracks that you saw before are now undeniable chasms. They can't keep up the act anymore. Their entire life was built on the foundation of deception, and now that foundation is crumbling. This moment is a dangerous one for them, because when you expose someone for who they truly are, it's not just a personal loss, it's a public one. It's a loss of reputation, respect, and above all else, power. And when power is taken away from someone who has relied on it for so long, they lose their grip on reality. They lose the ability to control their emotions. They start to panic. They scramble to patch up their story to save face, but the truth is out. It's like the floodgates have opened, and no matter how hard they try, they can't stop the deluge. You've seen the cracks in their carefully constructed mask. You've seen the lies and the manipulation. And when you exposed them for the world to see, they were no longer able to operate in the shadows. They had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The consequences are inevitable. They can try to salvage their reputation, but the damage is already done. People now know. People now understand. And there's no undoing that. It's a powerful thing to be able to strip someone of their armor, to remove the mask they've been wearing for so long. But the real power doesn't lie in the exposure itself. The real power lies in what happens after the exposure. Because once the world sees who they truly are, they have to face the harsh reality of their own actions. And it's a reality that they can't escape. They're falling apart, and there's nothing they can do about it. For too long they've relied on their false identity to manipulate the world around them. They've used their mask to gain power, to control others, to protect themselves from the consequences of their own choices. But now the truth has emerged. They can't escape the consequences anymore. They can't keep pretending to be someone they're not. And now they have to face the consequences of their lies, their manipulation, their dishonesty. It's a slow descent into madness, because the truth always catches up with you no matter how well you try to hide it. It's like a shadow that never leaves. And when the fake persona is exposed, the shadow becomes undeniable. It becomes all-encompassing. They can't outrun it, they can't deny it, and they can't make it go away. You expose their fake persona, and now they have no choice but to live with the reality of who they truly are, and that is their downfall. The facade they've carefully crafted has shattered, and now they're left exposed and vulnerable. They no longer have the power to control the narrative. They no longer have the ability to manipulate the situation. The truth is out, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. They may try to salvage their reputation. They may try to manipulate the people around them, but in the end, they will always be haunted by the truth. And that truth will slowly eat away at them until there is nothing left but the ruins of their former self. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of revenge, to feel the urge to watch them suffer for the wrong they've done to you. But the real victory lies in the simple fact that they've been exposed. You don't need to do anything more than reveal the truth, because once the truth is out there, it will destroy them from the inside out. The fake persona they've relied on is no longer a shield. It's a prison, and they will spend the rest of their lives trapped in it. They will watch as their world falls apart piece by piece. The trust they once had in others will disappear. The respect they once commanded will fade away. The power they once held will slip through their fingers. And all because you had the strength to expose the truth. All because you had the courage to stand up and reveal who they really are. The world may not always see the truth immediately. People may still be fooled for a time, but the damage has been done. The seed has been planted, and sooner or later, the truth will come to light. When it does, they will have nowhere to run, no excuses to make, no lies to tell. They'll be left standing alone in the ruins of their own creation. They will have no one to blame but themselves. And in the end, that's the most devastating thing of all. As they begin to unravel, you may see them lash out. They'll try to deflect. They'll try to blame others. They'll try to manipulate the situation to make it look like they're the victim. But deep down they know the truth, and that truth is slowly driving them insane. They'll try to repair their image, but it will be a futile attempt. The truth is a beast that cannot be tamed. It cannot be repressed, and it cannot be erased. The more they try to cover it up, the more it will seep through the cracks. And the more they try to hold on to their fake persona, the more they will suffocate under its weight. The truth will consume them piece by piece until there's nothing left. The lies they once relied on to protect themselves will become their own prison. They will live in constant fear of being exposed further. They will be haunted by the knowledge that the truth is out there, and it's only a matter of time before the rest of the world sees it too. The fall from grace will be swift. They will lose everything. The respect, the power, the trust, the connections they once had. It will all disappear in an instant, and they will be left standing alone, stripped of their mask, exposed for the world to see. You don't have to do anything more. The truth has already done its job. They're falling apart right in front of your eyes, and all you have to do is stand back and watch. In the end, exposing someone's fake persona is not about revenge or punishment. It's about exposing the truth for what it is. It's about allowing the world to see the reality behind the mask. It's about showing people that not everything is as it seems, and once that truth is revealed, there's no going back. The mask has been removed, the lies have been shattered, and now they have to face the consequences of their actions. They have to live with the reality of who they really are, and the weight of that reality will crush them from the inside out. They may try to rebuild their life. They may try to pretend that everything is okay, but deep down, they know the truth, and that truth will continue to haunt them for the rest of their days. You exposed their fake persona. You showed the world who they really are, and now they're falling apart. And that is a victory that no one can take away from you. They say that time reveals everything, but in reality, it is the truth that does the real revealing. Time may allow things to remain hidden for a while, but the truth is an unstoppable force that doesn't bend to time. It doesn't care how carefully crafted someone's lies are, how intricate their webs of deception may be. The truth has a way of cutting through everything, exposing it for what it truly is. And when you, as an individual, took it upon yourself to rip away their fake persona, you did what few have the courage to do. You made the choice to face the truth, regardless of how it would affect you or those around you. This wasn't just about uncovering their lies. This was about showing them, and everyone else, that the masks we wear, no matter how convincing, are nothing but a fragile barrier between ourselves and the reality we so often try to escape. As you watch them try to cover up their deception, you had a choice. You could have stood back, allowed them to continue with their manipulation, to further cloud the minds of those around them. But you didn't. You stepped forward. You looked beyond the charming smile, the smooth words, the polished image they worked so hard to project. You saw the cracks, the inconsistencies, the moments when their masks slipped, revealing a darkness that they hoped would never come to light. And you exposed it, not with a shout, not with a dramatic gesture, but with the cold, hard truth that could not be ignored, that could not be buried, no matter how they tried to deny it. In that moment, when you brought the truth to the surface, you didn't just take away their masks, you stripped them of their control, of their ability to manipulate and deceive those around them. This is where the true destruction begins. The process of tearing down someone's fake persona doesn't end with the initial exposure. It's a slow, agonizing breakdown. Once the truth is exposed, it begins to eat away at the foundation of the persona they've built. At first, they will try to patch the cracks, to find ways to rebuild their image. But the truth is a relentless force. It doesn't care how many repairs they make, how many stories they try to spin. It always finds its way back to the surface, breaking through the cracks until everything collapses in on itself. There is something exquisitely cruel about the unraveling of a person who thought they were invincible, who thought their lies could shield them forever. The greatest torment for them is not the fact that they've been exposed, but the realization that they have lost control. They can no longer manipulate those around them. They can no longer craft the narrative that they've spent years perfecting. Every attempt to restore their image is like a desperate plea to the world to believe their lies once again. But the world has seen the truth now. And once the world sees the truth, it cannot unsee it. They can try to wear another mask, but the one they wore before has already been shattered. The pieces of it are scattered, and every time they try to pick them up, they cut themselves on the sharp edges of their own deceit. It's easy to think that the person who has been exposed is now weak, that they are vulnerable, that they have nothing left to hold on to. But that's where the real danger lies. Because when someone's entire existence is based on a lie, when their sense of self-worth is tied to the false image they've created, when they realize that their mask has been torn away, they will do anything to hold on to what little remains of their facade. The desperation that takes over is palpable. They will lash out. They will manipulate those closest to them. They will try to convince everyone around them that the truth you exposed is not the whole story, that they were misunderstood, that they are the real victim here. But the truth has already done its work. It has exposed them for what they are. It has peeled back the layers of falsehoods and deceit, leaving nothing but the raw, ugly reality beneath. And no matter how hard they try to spin it, to manipulate the narrative in their favor, it won't matter. Because those who see the truth will never look at them the same way again. The illusion is gone, and now they must face the consequences of living a lie for so long. What's truly fascinating is that the unraveling of their fake persona doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone around them. Those who believed in them, those who trusted them, those who followed them, will now begin to question everything. How could they have been so blind? How could they have been deceived for so long? The damage is not just personal, it's social. Relationships will be tested. Friendships will be strained. And the longer they try to cling to their crumbling facade, the more they will push everyone away. No one likes to be deceived. No one wants to feel like a fool. And once people realize they've been manipulated, they will distance themselves. The trust that was once there will be replaced with doubt. The admiration will turn to contempt. And the more they try to salvage their image, the more they will isolate themselves from the very people they try to control. It's an inevitable process. The truth is, like a fire. At first, it may seem small, contained, but once it spreads, it consumes everything in its path. And when it has burned through the lies, the manipulation, the false persona, there will be nothing left but the ashes of what was once a carefully constructed illusion. The person who once seemed powerful, untouchable, invincible, will now be reduced to nothing. Their reputation, their status, their influence will be gone. And in its place will be a person who has to face the reality of their own actions. And the truth is that reality is much harsher than any facade they could ever create. As they fall apart, as they lose control, there's a strange satisfaction in knowing that you were the one who exposed them. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you wanted them to face the consequences of their lies. You wanted them to understand that they couldn't continue to manipulate the world around them without eventually being caught. You didn't need to do anything more than reveal the truth. The truth has power. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to demand attention. It simply is. And once it is out there, it changes everything. The lies they've told can never be untold. The damage they've caused can never be undone. The relationships they've destroyed can never be rebuilt. And as they spiral downward, as they lose everything they once held dear, you will stand as a silent witness to their downfall, knowing that it was their own choices, their own deception, that led them here. There will be those who try to defend them. There will be those who still cling to the illusion they've created, who will try to justify their actions, who will continue to believe the lies. But deep down, they will know the truth, even if they refuse to admit it. And as the years pass, as time moves on, they will see the hollow shell of a person they have become. They will look in the mirror and no longer recognize the face staring back at them, because it is a face built on lies, a face that has been exposed to the light. And in the end, when the dust settles, when the chaos has subsided, they will be left alone with nothing but the reality of who they truly are. The mask is gone. The persona is shattered, and all that remains is the person they tried so hard to hide, the person they were afraid the world would see. And it is in that moment, as they are forced to confront their true selves, that they will realize the price of living a life built on deception. It's a heavy price, one that no amount of manipulation, no amount of lies can ever undo. The truth has done its work. You exposed their fake persona, and now they are falling apart, and there's no going back. Once the illusion is shattered, once the mask has been torn off, there's no putting the pieces back together. The cracks you exposed cannot be sealed. No matter how much they may try to hide their true self, no matter how many times they attempt to rebuild the walls of their carefully crafted empire, they will always be haunted by the knowledge that someone has seen them for who they truly are. The illusion has been obliterated. There's no escaping the consequences of their own actions now. You have to understand something crucial here. The real destruction of their fake persona isn't immediate, but rather a slow, agonizing decay. It begins with the confusion, the denial, the desperate attempts to dismiss the truth. They may rage against it. They may attempt to discredit you or twist the narrative to fit their version of reality. But deep down, they know they've been exposed. And as time goes on, as they fight harder to maintain the fragments of their former life, the weight of their own lives begins to crush them. What's fascinating about this process is the way their actions change. In the beginning, they might try to hold on to their previous power, status, or influence. They may engage in manipulative tactics, use charm, or even cry foul, insisting that the exposure was a misunderstanding or a personal attack. They might lean into their previous personas, hoping to create a smokescreen of confusion. But these efforts will fail, not because they don't try, but because their foundation is built on something so fragile that even the smallest tremor causes everything to crumble. You see, the real agony begins when they realize that they can't control the narrative anymore. They can't rewrite history or reassert their dominance over the people they once controlled. The facade is gone, and the cracks that once seemed small now grow into chasms that swallow up everything they thought they had. The power that they once held over others begins to slip away. Their words no longer carry weight. Their presence no longer demands respect. They are exposed as weak, as someone who has been hiding in plain sight, manipulating others for their own gain. The truth is now out there, no longer a secret, no longer something that can be brushed aside or ignored. It's a reality that cannot be undone, no matter how they twist their story or try to paint themselves as the victim. The people who once stood by them will start questioning everything. What else have they been lying about? How many other people have been manipulated? It's a ripple effect. Once someone's true character is revealed, it causes people to reassess everything they thought they knew about them. Their allies, their friends, their colleagues, they will all start seeing them through a different lens, a lens that's been clouded by the truth. And that truth is that they are not who they pretended to be. They are not the person everyone thought they were. The real danger for them, however, lies in the inevitable isolation that follows. When a person's identity is built entirely on a fake persona, once that persona is exposed, the very foundation of their social existence begins to crumble. The people who once supported them will pull away, some out of anger, others out of sheer disbelief, and some simply because they now realize that they've been played for fools. What happens when someone loses the trust of those closest to them? It's not just the loss of friendship, it's the loss of everything that made them feel powerful, that gave them a sense of belonging and importance. And without that, they will be left alone, confronted with the very thing they've spent their life avoiding, themselves. It's easy to say that exposing someone's fake persona is about bringing justice, about punishing them for their lies. But in reality, it's not about punishment. It's about revealing the truth, and the truth has its own consequences. The truth doesn't need you to be the one to enact the punishment. The truth does that for you. It is the mirror that shows them who they really are, and it's a mirror they can no longer escape from. The truth doesn't care about their excuses, their rationalizations, or their justifications. It simply is. It lays bare everything they've tried so desperately to conceal. And as they begin to unravel, they will try to lash out. They will try to blame others, point fingers, and create a narrative where they are the victim of some grand conspiracy. But it won't work. Not anymore. Their words will ring hollow, because everyone will know that their actions speak louder than their words. People will see the cracks in their character, the lies they've told, and the manipulation they've used to climb to where they are. The more they try to defend themselves, the more their desperation will show, and the more people will distance themselves from them. It's a tragic reality, but it's also an inevitable one. The longer they fight against the truth, the more they lose. The more they try to maintain the illusion, the more exhausted they become. Eventually, they will realize that they can't keep up the charade forever. The emotional toll of living with such deception will break them. The stress, the anxiety, the constant fear of being further exposed, it will chip away at them. They will become a shell of the person they once were, and the power they once held will evaporate. People will stop listening to them, they will stop believing them, and they will fade into obscurity, no longer the figure of influence they once were. What you've done by exposing their fake persona is not just a momentary victory. It is the beginning of a process of self-destruction for them. It's a slow burn that they cannot escape. Every time they try to repair their image, every time they try to put on a new mask, it will be a reminder that the world knows the truth about them. It's a scar they will carry forever. And as the world moves on, as people begin to forget the lies they once told, that scar will remain, a constant reminder of the deceit they once practiced, the mask they once wore, and the price they paid for living in the shadows of their own false identity. The beauty of this process is that it's not something you have to continue to monitor. You don't need to keep fighting, keep exposing their lies, keep reminding the world of who they are. The truth has done its job. The exposure has already occurred. Now, it's only a matter of time before everything they built crumbles. They will fall apart, and all you have to do is watch as they try, desperately, to hold on to something that's already slipping through their fingers. The real power is not in the act of exposing them, it's in the aftermath. The aftermath is when the truth does its final work. It is when the lies finally catch up with them, when the facade falls apart, and when the world can no longer deny who they truly are. And as they fall apart, you will understand that there is no greater punishment than the consequences of their own actions. They are the architects of their own downfall. They are the ones who chose to build their life on a lie, and now they must live with the truth. There is no turning back from this, no retraction of the damage, no undoing of what's been done. You exposed their fake persona, and now they must face the consequences. And in the end, that is the most powerful thing of all. You didn't have to destroy them. You simply allowed the truth to do what it does best. Reveal everything, tear down the walls, and show the world who they really are. In the end, the truth is the most powerful force. By exposing their fake persona, you've shattered the illusion they carefully crafted, and now they must face the consequences of their own deception. There's no turning back, no rebuilding what's been broken. The mask is gone, and the world sees them for who they truly are. As they unravel, the truth stands as a reminder that no lie can last forever. And sometimes, the greatest victory is simply watching them fall apart under the weight of their own falsehoods. Listen closely, because what I'm about to say is not for the faint-hearted or the comfort seekers. This is for the warriors in the shadows, the ones burning with a fire that refuses to die, the ones who've been broken, shattered, and left in ruins, only to rise again with a vengeance so fierce it can't be contained. This is for you who have set off a bomb in your own world, unleashed chaos in your own mind, and called it a response, who dared to take destruction and wear it like armor, who decided that the old rules no longer apply. Before I go deeper, if you feel the weight of these words, if your spirit catches fire with the truth I'm about to unleash, don't just listen. Commit. Hit that subscribe button. Let this be the place where your broken pieces start to burn bright again. Like the voice inside you that screams for more, press like, and share this with every soul who's been told they're too much, too loud, too broken to rise. Because here, in this darkness, we find our real light, and you're not alone anymore. So subscribe, stay close, and let's walk this dark path together, where pain is a fuel and silence is a lie. Now, look around. Who the hell told you that first? Who planted the seed in your mind that destruction is something to fear, that chaos is the enemy and not the battle cry of those who refuse to be controlled? You set off a bomb, a violent, thunderous explosion that shattered what you thought you were, burned down every fragile expectation, and left nothing but scorched earth and raw truth. And you called it a response. But ask yourself, was it really a response? Or was it the only thing left when everything else had failed? Because sometimes the world hands you a match, lights the fuse and says, "Now, watch what you do." But here's the brutal honesty no one dared to tell you. The bomb was never about the world. It was about you. It was the fury inside you that refused to be buried alive, the voice that screamed so loud it couldn't be silenced by lies or broken promises. When you set off that bomb, you weren't just responding. You were reclaiming your power from a place so dark it almost swallowed you whole. And that is terrifying, even to yourself. Because when you explode like that, you lose everything that once made you feel safe. You lose the mask, the facade, the carefully constructed illusion of control. You lose the version of yourself that people wanted to believe in. And suddenly, you're left standing in the rubble, bleeding, raw, exposed, naked in your own destruction. That's the moment most people run. They pick up the pieces, sweep the dirt away, and pretend nothing ever happened. But not you. You look at the crater you made, the fire you ignited, and you do something most never dare to do. You lean in. You stare into the abyss, and instead of falling, you reach out your hand and pull yourself higher. Because you understand now that the bomb, the destruction, the chaos, they weren't the end. They were the beginning of something real, something fierce, something unapologetically yours. Let me be clear. This is not about destruction for destruction's sake. It's not about violence or pain or chaos without purpose. It's about transformation. It's about burning down the old self that was shackled by doubt, fear, and expectation, so the new self can rise from the ashes, scarred but unstoppable. You took the pain, the anger, the betrayal, and instead of letting it bury you, you turned it into your weapon. That's dark power. That's real strength. If this fires something inside you, if your spirit is aching for that kind of ruthless honesty and relentless drive, don't just let it fade into silence. Hit like, share your story in the comments, let your voice be heard. Because your darkness is not a curse. It's your crucible. Your pain is not a weakness. It's the fuel that will launch you into the life you were always meant to claim. Subscribe, stay connected, because this journey doesn't end here. We are just getting started, and trust me, the world has never seen anything like what you're about to become. The truth you've been avoiding is this: setting off a bomb is messy. It's terrifying, and it often feels like you've lost control. But here's what the so-called experts won't tell you. Control is an illusion. The moment you try to keep everything neat, tidy, and predictable, you give away your power. Real power is chaos. Real power is destruction and creation happening at the same time. It's the wild storm inside you that refuses to be caged. Who the hell told you that first? The world? The people who benefit from your silence and compliance? They want you to stay small, quiet, and predictable, because that's easy to manage. But you shattered that illusion with your bomb. You said no to their rules, no to their expectations, no to the lie that your worth depends on their approval. You detonated the cage and walked out into the unknown, ready to build something new from the ashes. But here's the hardest part. You will feel lost. You will feel broken. You will feel like the monster everyone warned you about. Because when you destroy everything that once defined you, there's a void. A silence so loud it threatens to swallow you whole. But that silence is not empty. It's waiting for your voice. It's waiting for your truth. It's waiting for you to decide what comes next. And you will decide. You have to. In that moment of destruction, you become the architect of your own destiny. You are the only one who can choose what rises from the rubble. Will it be fear, regret, and bitterness? Or will it be power, clarity, and purpose? The bomb was your declaration that the old world is dead. Now, your future is forged in the flames you created. This is your chance to be brutal, raw, and unapologetically real. This is your chance to stop playing by the rules of others and start writing your own story, one that no one can ignore, silence, or erase. Remember this: no one else gets to define your destruction or your response. No one else gets to tell you what kind of fire you should set off or when you should do it. That choice was always yours, buried deep beneath layers of doubt and fear. But now it's uncovered, blazing bright like a signal fire in the night. And if you're brave enough to answer that call, you're already winning. So when the world asks you to explain your explosion, your chaos, your bomb, don't apologize. Don't explain. Stand tall and say, "This was my response. This was my power. This was my awakening." Because it is. It's the rawest, darkest truth you'll ever own. And it's beautiful in its terrifying honesty. If you felt the heat of this fire, if your soul is screaming for freedom and power, then show me. Hit like, drop a comment. Tell me how you set off your bomb and what it revealed to you. Share this message with those who need to hear that destruction isn't the end. It's the first breath of something new. And subscribe, stay with me, because the darkness we walk through together will only make us stronger. The real story begins now. When you set off a bomb and called it a response, you shattered not just your environment, but every illusion you once clung to. You tore apart the walls built by expectation, by comfort, by lies disguised as truths. The people around you, the voices you trusted, they trembled at the sound of that explosion. Not because it was loud, but because it was real. And realness terrifies those who hide behind masks. They want chaos to be a warning, a tragedy, a mistake. But you know better. You know that bomb was the only language left when silence became unbearable and compliance became death. Who the hell told you that first? That destruction was something shameful, something to regret? That responding with fire meant you lost control? Number. The moment you lit that fuse, you took control for the first time. The ones who whispered to you that peace meant submission were lying. The ones who told you to forgive and forget without healing were cowards. Because peace without power is nothing but a cage disguised as freedom. Forgiveness without boundaries is a surrender to weakness, and forgetting without understanding is a death sentence for the soul. You set off that bomb because you refuse to stay quiet. You refuse to carry the weight of broken promises and toxic love silently. You refuse to pretend that scars don't ache or that silence heals wounds. And yes, it hurt. It ripped you apart. It burned you from the inside out. But pain was never your enemy. It was your fuel. You used it to light the fire inside you, the fire that will never be extinguished by those who think darkness means defeat. Look at yourself in the mirror now. See that face staring back, the one no longer afraid to burn everything down just to feel alive? That is your truth. That is your power. And the world can't handle it because they've never seen someone survive their own apocalypse and emerge stronger, fiercer, more unbreakable than before. You are the storm they feared, the chaos they couldn't control, the bomb they begged to never explode. And now that you have, there's no going back. If you feel that storm raging inside you, if your soul aches to break free from the chains of doubt and fear, don't let it fade away. Subscribe now, because this isn't just a speech. It's a movement, a rebellion against everything that told you to stay small, to be quiet, to blend in. Like this, share it with the broken, the lost, the warriors in the shadows who need to know they are not alone. Let's light 1,000 fires and watch the darkness tremble before our collective power. You are part of something bigger now, something unstoppable. Subscribe and keep this fire burning. The bomb you set off was more than just an explosion. It was a reckoning. A moment when everything you believed in collided with everything you needed to become. It was the violent birth of your real self, the shedding of the old you who lived to please, to hide, to survive without living. And yes, it was messy. It was ugly. It was everything the world told you not to be. But that mess is your liberation. That ugliness is your truth. That chaos is your power. You might think you've lost everything in the blast: friends, trust, hope. But what you've truly lost is the cage that held you captive. The chains of expectations, the shackles of other people's definitions, the bindings of your own self-doubt. When a bomb explodes, everything is laid bare. Nothing can hide beneath the rubble, and in that clarity, you find yourself. You find a freedom so fierce it makes the night tremble. The world will try to convince you to apologize for that bomb, to clean up the mess, to act like it never happened. But don't fall for it. The mess is sacred. The aftermath is your battlefield, and every scar is a medal earned in the war for your soul. You are not responsible for the chaos that others fear, only for how you rise from it. And rise you will, like a phoenix, not because you are untouched by fire, but because you have been forged by it. Who the hell told you that first? That your rage was wrong, that your response was too much, that your bomb was unjustified? They don't see the years of silence before the explosion, the nights spent swallowing pain until it turned toxic, the moments when breaking down seemed easier than breaking free. They don't understand that sometimes, to be heard, to be truly alive, you have to set the world on fire. Not because you hate it, but because you refuse to be buried under its weight any longer. If you hear that voice in your head telling you to hold back, to tame the fire, to quiet the explosion, no, that voice is a liar. The only way forward is through the blaze. So hit that like button if you're ready to stop hiding. Share this with someone who's on the edge, who needs to hear that their explosion is not their failure, but their awakening. And subscribe to stay connected to this fierce tribe who understands that sometimes, to rebuild, you must first burn it all down. You've been living in a world that demands you pretend, that expects you to perform, that punishes you for being anything but normal. But normal was never your destiny. The bomb you set off was your refusal to conform, your declaration that you will no longer shrink to fit into a world made for others. And that kind of courage is terrifying. It shakes the foundations of everything and everyone around you because it exposes the lie that safety comes from silence and submission. But safety is an illusion. True safety comes from owning your power, even when it burns you. True freedom comes from embracing your darkness as fiercely as you embrace your light. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not too much. You are a force of nature that cannot be contained, tamed, or silenced. Look at the destruction you caused and realize this. That bomb was not the end of your story. It was the spark that lit your new beginning. It was the first roar of a soul that refused to die quietly. The ashes are your foundation. The ruins are your canvas. And the fire inside you is the paint that will create something no one else dared to imagine. So own it. Own your bomb, your chaos, your response. Don't apologize for the noise you made. Don't apologize for the power you unleashed. Because in that moment of destruction, you found your truth. And that truth is louder, stronger, and more alive than any voice that tried to silence you before. If this hits you, if your heart is pounding and your spirit is rising, then don't let this moment pass. Hit subscribe, join the movement, and share your story in the comments. Your voice could be the bomb someone else needs to hear to finally explode their own chains. Together, we are the darkness the world feared and the light it never saw coming. The question isn't whether you set off a bomb and called it a response. The question is, what will you do now that the explosion has changed everything? Will you hide in the ruins, or will you build a fortress so unbreakable it shakes the very earth beneath you? Will you let fear silence you, or will you roar louder than ever before? The choice is yours, but remember this: the moment you exploded was the moment you truly began to live. You think you've been punished for setting off that bomb, don't you? You believe the fallout, the shattered relationships, the cold shoulders, the whispers behind your back are consequences you must carry like a cross. But let me tell you something no one else will. Those consequences are not your punishment. They are the cost of your freedom. They are the price you pay when you refuse to live by someone else's rules, when you choose to break the cycle instead of perpetuate it, when you decide that your voice, your truth, your existence will no longer be a whisper, but a scream that echoes through the void. Every shattered piece around you is a testament to your courage. Every friend who turned away is a reminder that not everyone was meant to walk this path with you. Every door slammed in your face is proof that your explosion was necessary, that you disrupted the status quo enough to force change. You did not set off that bomb to make everyone comfortable. You set it off to make yourself whole. And sometimes that means losing the comfort of the familiar, the warmth of the accepted, the illusion of safety. But here's the brutal truth. Safety is death. Safety is the grave where dreams go to rot. And if you're still breathing, still burning, still raging inside, then you owe it to yourself to live outside of that grave. You owe it to yourself to keep exploding, keep breaking down walls, keep tearing apart the lies until only your truth remains. Because that truth, your raw, untamed, unfiltered truth, is the most dangerous weapon you have. And it's the only thing that can set you free. Who the hell told you first that you had to be small, to be loved? That your fire was too fierce, your anger too wild, your pain too much? Those lies are the shackles you set fire to, the moment your bomb went off, and now every step you take forward is on ground you've scorched yourself. No one else can walk this path for you. No one else can carry this fire. It's yours, and yours alone. So when the world tries to make you regret your explosion, remind them that you are not the monster here. You are the liberator, the revolution, the force of nature that refuses to be ignored. You didn't set off that bomb because you wanted to hurt others. You set it off because you could no longer carry the weight of their silence. You exploded because you had to survive. And surviving means breaking every rule, shattering every expectation, and walking through the flames until you emerge unrecognizable, even to yourself. If this truth hits you hard, if it burns through the numbness and makes your heart race, then don't just nod and walk away. Like this. Subscribe. Share this message with everyone who's been told to be quiet, to settle, to shrink themselves until they disappear. Because this is your sanctuary, your tribe, your battlefield. And together, we will rise from the ashes, louder and more unstoppable than ever before. Join us. Don't let the fire die out. Keep it burning. The bomb you set off was the rejection of a life half-lived, a lie told so many times you almost believed it. It was the refusal to play the victim, to stay silent, to accept less than what your soul demands. It was the eruption of everything bottled up, anger, grief, betrayal, hope, and an unrelenting will to survive. You called it a response, but it was much more. It was a declaration that you are done being small, done being hidden, done being anyone else's idea of who you should be. And now, after the smoke clears, you stand in the ruins, not broken, but reborn. The question is, what will you build? Will you rebuild the walls that trapped you, or will you build bridges over the chasms your bomb created? Will you let fear convince you to silence your voice, or will you use your roar to bring others out of the shadows? Because this explosion is not just about you. It's about every person who's been waiting for someone to light the fuse, to shake the ground beneath their feet, to say enough is enough. You are that someone. The one who dared to burn the script, rewrite the rules, and redefine what it means to be alive. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, the world will push back harder than ever because you threatened its fragile illusions. But you are stronger than their fear. You are fiercer than their doubts. And the fire you carry inside cannot be put out by anything but your own surrender. And surrender is not in your nature. So stand tall in your destruction. Own your explosion. Because from this chaos comes your true power. From this darkness, your fiercest light will shine. And the world, whether it's ready or not, will have to reckon with the force you have become. If this resonates with you, if it makes your blood boil and your spirit rise, don't wait. Subscribe, like, share your own story of breaking free and setting off your bomb. Together, we will be the voice for the silenced, the strength for the broken, and the light for the lost. Because in the end, the only thing more powerful than the bomb you set off is the fire you choose to keep burning long after the smoke is cleared. So now you stand in the aftermath, alone but not empty, surrounded by smoke and silence and the raw weight of everything you've destroyed. And still, you do not bow. You look at the ruins and understand, finally, that you were never meant to survive in that old world. You were meant to remake it. You were never meant to live quietly in someone else's shadow. You were meant to burn bright enough to blind them. Ladies and gentlemen of my alpha audience, let me start by saying something you already know, but might have forgotten in the sea of distractions life throws at you. Pain is power. It is the fire that forges you into something no one can ever touch. A force so unstoppable, so ruthless, that the world will look at you in awe. They laughed at your pain. They mocked you, belittled your struggles, and sneered at your every fall. But those days are over. Now, the tables are turning. It's their turn to suffer. It's their turn to know what it feels like to face the consequences of their cruelty, to stand in the shadow of the beast that they once underestimated. Your rise is inevitable, and it will be their torment. Let's take a moment to reflect on the faces of those who laughed at you, the ones who whispered behind your back, the ones who rolled their eyes when you struggled, the ones who thought your dreams were too big, too audacious, too impossible. They thought they could crush you under the weight of their cynicism. They thought they could break your spirit with their scorn. But here you are, still standing. You survived. In fact, you didn't just survive, you thrived in the wreckage of your own suffering. And now, as the storm clouds part and you rise from the ashes like the phoenix you are, they'll start to realize just how deeply they misjudged you. The pain they inflicted upon you, the wounds they thought would be your undoing, became the fuel you needed to evolve. You learned something in those dark nights when the world turned its back on you. You learned that pain isn't just something you endure. It's a tool, it's a weapon, it's a lesson. Pain has a way of showing you who you really are, of stripping away the illusions that cloud your vision. When you feel that pain, when you experience betrayal and loss, it forces you to make a choice, to rise or to die, to let the darkness consume you or to harness it as a power that will shape the course of your future. And you chose the path of power. You chose to rise. You chose to fight back. Every laugh they shared at your expense was a reminder of their ignorance. They didn't understand the process of becoming. They didn't understand that greatness is born from suffering. The champions are forged in the crucible of adversity. When they laughed, they revealed their weakness. They thought you were small because you were down, but they didn't see the fire building within you. They didn't see the beast awakening from within the man. Every time they mocked you, they unknowingly pushed you closer to your destiny, because you took their scorn and turned it into determination. You didn't shrink, you didn't break, you didn't wither. You grew. And now, as you look around and see the world unfolding before you, it's impossible to ignore the truth. They are scared. They didn't know what they were dealing with. They thought they were superior because they had comfort and ease, because their lives were free of the kind of struggle you've endured. But they were wrong. They were living in a fantasy. The truth is, no one grows without suffering. No one becomes strong without facing the darkest parts of themselves. You did what they couldn't. You endured. You learned. You became something else. You became something they could never understand, something they could never touch. Now, it's their turn. It's their turn to experience what they once thought you would never overcome. They laughed at your failures, but now they'll witness your success. They ridiculed your tears, but now they'll see your triumph. And you know what? They won't be able to handle it. You've learned what it means to turn pain into something powerful, but they haven't. They've only known comfort, luxury, and easy victories. They won't survive the storm that's coming for them. They laughed because they thought your struggles were a sign of weakness. They couldn't see the truth in your eyes. They couldn't feel the fire you had kindled deep inside your soul. They thought that pain was your defeat, that it would break you, crush you, under its weight. But you didn't let it break you. You let it transform you. You let it mold you into something they'll never be able to understand. And that's why, when their time comes, they'll crumble under the pressure. They'll crack under the weight of their own fragile existence. You were never weak. You were never broken. You were just being tested. And now that you've passed that test, now that you've become what you were always meant to be, there's no force in this world that can stop you. You are the storm now, and they are the ones left in your wake, wondering how they ever thought they could stand in your way. Do not pity them. Do not waste a single thought on their downfall. For when the time comes, you will be above it all. You will stand in your power, in your truth, and they will be left to watch as you rise to heights they never thought possible. They will wish they had been kinder, that they had seen your potential, that they had supported you instead of tearing you down. But by then, it will be too late. The damage is done, and the price for their cruelty will be paid in full. Look at the world now, and realize that it will bow to you. Those who laughed at your pain, who mocked your struggle, will be the ones begging for mercy when the tides of fate turn against them. They will see the strength in your eyes, and they will know they were wrong. They will see the power in your presence, and they will regret ever thinking they could crush you. For every scar they gave you, every moment they made you question yourself, will become the foundation on which your empire stands. And they will be left in the dust, wondering how they could have ever doubted you. The world will soon see who the real victors are. It's not those who never suffered, those who were born into comfort. It's not those who had it easy and never had to fight for what they wanted. The true victors are the ones who were torn apart and put back together stronger than before. The true victors are the ones who walked through hell and came out on the other side unscathed, with nothing but strength, resilience, and power to show for it. And that's you. You are the victor. So, to those who laughed, to those who mocked, to those who thought they had seen the end of you, let them watch now as you rise. Let them witness your strength, your power, and your unrelenting will. Let them see what happens when they underestimate someone who is made of fire. They thought you were nothing, but now they will realize that they were wrong. They thought you would break, but now they will see you stand tall, unshaken, and unbroken. It's their turn to suffer now, and it's your turn to reign supreme. For so long, you've been the one crawling, scraping, and fighting through the dirt and shadows. But that was merely the preparation, the training, the struggle that would ultimately pave the path for your ascendancy. Your rise wasn't meant to be easy. Number, the world doesn't hand out greatness. It isn't given, it's earned. And you, my friend, have earned it in the most brutal and unforgiving of ways. Your hands are stained with the blood of your battles. But let me tell you this, those stains are the marks of a warrior. Those scars, those cracks in your soul, are the testimony of your triumph. Now, the time has come for the world to witness the results of your pain. The ones who laughed at you, mocked your attempts, ridiculed your failures, they are going to feel the weight of what they've done to you. They will learn that they were never dealing with someone ordinary. They were dealing with a force of nature, a being forged in adversity. You are a manifestation of what happens when resilience meets rage, when grit meets purpose. And those who thought you were weak, those who believed that the depth of your wounds was the extent of your potential, will be exposed for the fools they are. You've carried the weight of the world on your shoulders, endured countless blows, and weathered storms that would have broken anyone else. But it didn't break you. It made you. Every insult, every betrayal, every moment where you were left to pick yourself up from the ground, each one of those moments added layers to you. Layers of strength, resolve, and unshakable belief in your purpose. The pain you endured didn't destroy you. It refined you. And now, you stand as a monument to perseverance, to everything they thought would defeat you. It's not easy to understand the magnitude of the battle you fought, People don't see the sleepless nights, the relentless grind, the tears you shed when no one was watching. They didn't see the loneliness, the doubt, or the times when you felt like giving up. All they saw was a person struggling, and that's where they made their fatal mistake. They saw a person, but they didn't see a warrior. They didn't see someone who could take the punches and keep coming back for more. They didn't see the fire building in your chest, the fire that would eventually burn down everything that stood in your way. And when you look at them now, when you witness the aftermath of your struggle, it's clear they were never meant to be your companions on this journey. They were nothing more than distractions, temporary figures in a world that never truly understood your vision. They laughed at your pain. They mocked you when you stumbled. But now, they'll be the ones begging for mercy. And the worst part for them, they'll have no one to blame but themselves. They'll have no choice but to look into your eyes and realize that everything they thought they knew about you was wrong. This is what happens when you face your demons head on. This is what happens when you turn your suffering into your greatest asset. This is what happens when you use every ounce of pain as fuel for the fire inside you. You become something no one can touch, something that nothing in this world can break. The ones who once laughed at you will find themselves frozen in their tracks as they witness the power you've become. They'll wonder how they could have ever underestimated someone like you, and they'll be too late. But as they fall, don't waste your energy on them. Don't spend another second thinking about their mockery, their ridicule, or their attempts to bring you down. They had their moment, and it's over. You've outgrown them. You've moved beyond their small-minded view of the world. While they stayed stagnant in their limited understanding, you've been evolving. You've been pushing yourself beyond every boundary they thought you had. You've become something unstoppable. Now, when you look at the world, it will start to bend to your will. You won't need to beg for your place. You won't need to prove anything to anyone. They'll see you for what you truly are, a force of nature. You will take what's yours because you've earned it. You've earned the right to stand tall. You've earned the right to claim your place at the top. Not because of luck, not because of anyone's favor, but because you fought for it. You fought through the blood, sweat, and tears. You fought through the betrayals and the lies. You fought through the blood, sweat, and tears. You fought through the betrayals and the lies. You fought through the loneliness and the fear. And now, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge your power. For those who laughed, their time is coming. They will realize that the universe doesn't forget. What they sowed will come back to them. Every time they looked down on you, every time they thought they were better than you, every time they ridiculed you, they set the stage for their own fall. They thought they could take you down by mocking your pain, by belittling your struggles, by making you feel small. But in doing so, they sealed their own fate. The universe, the one that guided you through the darkest hours, will now turn its eyes on them, and they won't be prepared for what's coming. Don't you see it? They thought they had power over you. They thought they could control your narrative, dictate your worth, and decide your fate. But they were wrong. They had no idea who you were. They had no idea who you would become. And now, as you rise, they'll be left behind, clinging to the shattered remnants of their false beliefs. They'll watch as you take what they thought was theirs. They'll watch as you become everything they thought they could keep from you. There is no greater revenge than success. There is no more satisfying way to show them that their laughter, their mockery, was meaningless than by becoming the person you were always meant to be. You don't need to retaliate. You don't need to say a word. Your actions will speak louder than anything they could ever say. Your triumph will be the answer to every insult, every moment they made you feel less than, every time they belittled you. Your rise is the revenge they didn't see coming. It's the price they'll have to pay for underestimating you. And it's the reminder that the world doesn't forget those who are underestimated. It gives them the strength to rise higher than anyone ever thought possible. You are the embodiment of everything they tried to destroy. Your pain is your strength, your struggle is your power, and your rise is inevitable. They are the ones who will suffer now, not because you seek vengeance, but because they thought you were their prey. And in reality, you were the hunter all along. You were the one destined to take it all, to claim what was rightfully yours. And now, as the dust settles and you stand victorious, they'll have no choice but to watch you as you reign supreme. And they'll know that they were never meant to stop you. They were never meant to hold you down. You were always meant for greatness, and nothing will ever change that. So let the world watch. Let the ones who laughed and mocked and scorned you sit in their regret. Let them suffer the consequences of their actions. But as for you, you keep rising. You keep fighting. You keep claiming your place at the top. For now, it's your turn, and the world has no idea what's coming for it. It's your time to reign supreme. It's your time to show them all who you really are. What you're about to do is something that they'll never be able to comprehend. They thought they could tear you down, that their mockery and disdain would weaken you, diminish your worth. They assumed you would cower under their judgment, wilt under the weight of their scorn. But they were wrong. The truth is, your greatness was never meant to be seen through their eyes. They were never the ones destined to witness your power firsthand. They were only the obstacles, the challenges that tested your strength, your resolve, your will to survive. They were the ones who foolishly underestimated the force of nature that you are. And now, as you stand on the precipice of your destiny, you'll show them who you really are. The force they tried to break, the will they tried to crush, the person they could never understand. The truth is, they never had the courage to see you for who you truly were. They only saw what they wanted to see. Someone small, someone broken, someone less than them. They only saw your pain and made assumptions, labeling it as weakness. But pain doesn't equate to weakness. Pain doesn't signify defeat. Pain is proof of your resilience, proof of your ability to endure, to adapt, to overcome. The depths of your suffering were the breeding ground for your strength. They thought you would sink into the darkness, consumed by despair. But what they didn't realize is that you were the storm. You were the thunder, the lightning, the whirlwind that would rise out of that darkness and level everything in your path. For so long, they tried to put you in a box, tried to limit your potential by placing restrictions on your dreams. They wanted to believe that your aspirations were too big, that your vision was too grand. They laughed at the idea of you reaching the heights you knew you were destined for. But what they didn't know, what they could never have understood, is that you didn't need them to believe in you. You didn't need their approval, their validation, their acknowledgement. You had everything you needed within you, the fire, the grit, the hunger, to prove them all wrong. When they laughed at your failures, what they didn't realize is that you were learning. Every failure, every setback, every moment where you felt like the world was crashing down on you was a lesson that molded you into something far greater than they could ever imagine. They may have seen your falls, but they didn't see how you got up. They didn't see the fire that ignited within you after each stumble. They didn't see the quiet, relentless determination that grew stronger with each bruise, with each broken piece of yourself that you had to rebuild. They didn't see the evolution happening right in front of them, the transformation you were going through when they weren't looking. They didn't see the warrior being forged in the flames of your pain, And they didn't see the power you were accumulating with each struggle. They saw your tears and thought you were weak. They saw your frustration and assumed you lacked the discipline to succeed. But they didn't understand the power in your heart, the strength in your soul, the unshakable will that would one day cause them to tremble in fear. What they failed to realize is that their laughter, their mockery, was only fuel to your fire. Every word they spoke to tear you down became another step in your rise. Every laugh, every jeer, every insult became the building blocks of your empire. They had no idea that they were merely setting the stage for the greatest comeback the world has ever seen. They were so focused on your struggles that they never bothered to look deeper, to see the potential that was silently growing beneath the surface. And now, as you rise, they'll be left stunned, speechless, unable to comprehend how someone they once thought so small, so insignificant, could suddenly tower over them. They'll watch in awe as you break through every barrier, exceed every expectation, and achieve things they could never dream of. And in the end, they'll realize just how wrong they were, how little they truly knew about you. But by then, it will be too late. You'll already be untouchable, and they'll be left to deal with the consequences of their ignorance. They'll look back at their past actions, at the way they belittled you, and they'll feel the weight of regret. But regret won't change anything. Their words won't be able to undo the damage they caused, the damage they inflicted on themselves by choosing to laugh at someone who was destined for greatness. They may try to apologize, try to make amends, but you'll be too far gone. You'll be on a level they'll never reach, and their apologies will mean nothing because actions speak louder than words. They had their chance to see you, to respect you, to recognize your potential, and they squandered it. They didn't see you for who you were, but they will now. They will be forced to watch as you become everything they never thought you could be. And here's the thing, their downfall won't be your doing. You won't have to lift a finger. You won't need to stoop down to their level and engage in petty games of revenge. No, your rise will be enough. Your success will be the ultimate form of retribution. You won't have to prove them wrong because your actions will do it for you. You will rise so high, so fast, that they'll be left standing in the dust, wondering how they ever thought they could break you. And when they finally come to terms with their own failure, when they finally realize the price of their arrogance, you'll be too far gone to even care. Let them have their regrets. Let them suffer the consequences of their actions. But remember this, it's not about revenge. It's about you. It's about your journey, your growth, your success. It's about showing the world who you really are. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. You don't need to lower yourself to their level to get caught up in their petty games. Your power doesn't come from tearing others down. It comes from standing tall, from rising above the noise, from staying true to your purpose. And that's what will set you apart. As you stand at the summit of your success, you'll look around and see those who once laughed at you, who thought they knew everything about your journey, trying to hold on to what little power they have left. But it won't matter. Their power will fade, while yours will only grow. They'll see the true measure of your strength, and in the end, it won't be their opinions, their judgments, or their scorn that matters. It will be your greatness, your accomplishments, and the legacy you leave behind. The truth is, they never had the strength to endure what you did. They never had the resilience, the grit, or the heart to withstand the kind of challenges you faced. They never had the hunger to climb higher, to push further, to achieve more. They thought their position was secure, that they could laugh at your pain and be untouchable. But the universe doesn't favor the weak, the cynical, the dismissive. It favors the ones who endure, the ones who fight, the ones who never give up. And now, as you rise and claim your place in the world, they'll realize they were never as secure as they thought. They'll realize that the power they thought they had was just an illusion. They'll realize that they were never the ones in control. You were always the one with the true power. And now, it's time for them to witness that power firsthand. You will show them who you really are. You will show them the strength, the resilience, and the unwavering determination that runs through your veins. You will show them the person they never thought you could become, and they will be left to watch, helpless, as you take what is rightfully yours. The time for apologies is over. The time for regret is over. The time for action has arrived. And when you look back, you won't see the people who tried to tear you down. You'll see the steps you took to rise above them. You'll see the fire that burned within you, the power that came from your struggle, the greatness that was born from your pain. And when you stand tall, when you claim what is yours, you'll know that this is the moment you were always meant for. This is your moment. It's your turn to reign supreme. And as the world bows before you, as the ones who once laughed at your pain now watch in silence, you'll remember that it was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving to yourself that you were always destined for greatness. And now, you are unstoppable. Now, you are the force that no one can ignore, the power that no one can break. It's your time to show them all who you really are. In the end, your rise will be the ultimate testament to your strength, resilience, and unshakable belief in yourself. Those who once laughed at your pain will now be forced to watch as you claim the greatness that was always yours. You didn't need their approval or validation to reach your peak. You needed only your will and determination. As you stand at the summit, remember this: your success isn't about revenge. It's about embracing the power you've always had within you. Now, it's your time to reign supreme.